sir, what do you want to do? Because you just want to be mad at the officer.
I'm not mad.
No, listen to me. You want to be mad at the officer. I would be mad at the officer too if there wasn't a valid reason, which is the only reason I went through all of this stuff. And what I'm trying to tell you is you need to just chill about it. It doesn't matter. You can sit here all day and night long and try to.
Welcome to a courtroom showdown where frustration, confusion, and legal reality collide. From the very first exchange, we see a defendant determined to argue that the officer acted unfairly, and a judge who refuses to let emotion outweigh the law. This is not just about a ticket. It is about what happens when paperwork errors, missing licenses, and state ID confusion spiral into a legal nightmare. At the heart of this case is Donante Linton, a man who insists his car should never have been impounded, and that an officer crossed the line by searching his vehicle. But as the judge methodically unpacks the timeline, expired IDs, license errors, and multiple trips to the Secretary of State, it becomes painfully clear that the truth may not be what the defendant believes. This hearing is dramatic not because of shouting matches or physical outbursts, but because of the sheer persistence of one man who refuses to accept what the legal record is telling him. The tension builds as the judge explains again and again why the law sees his situation differently, and the defendant grows more defiant with every explanation. Stay with this case because what unfolds is a masterclass in how judges cut through emotion, enforce order, and expose the hard truth. Sometimes being angry at the officer will not save you when the paperwork proves otherwise.
Why do you want your plea withdrawn?
Just because the situation was misunderstood. As far as like the insurance and the tags, like I understand that. That's why I paid like the day of the ticket. But the officer was following me and then detained me without any questioning and was searching my car for over like 15 minutes. Then tried to get into the trunk of my car when he asked me.
Okay, that's why you want to withdraw your plea?
I'm trying to get my vehicle back because I can't afford to give $3,000 to get my car back. My car shouldn't have been towed.
Hold on.
This is the defendant's biggest sticking point. His car was impounded, and he insists it never should have been. He explains he could not afford the $3,000 fee and felt targeted by the officer. But here is the harsh legal truth. Once an officer determines you do not have a valid driver's license at the time of the stop, they cannot let you continue driving. The car has to be towed. The frustration makes sense. Imagine losing your vehicle, not because you were drunk or reckless, but because of confusion in the state's paperwork. To the defendant, this feels like robbery. But to the court, it is simple procedure. If you are behind the wheel without a valid license, your car is not going home with you. This is where courtroom reality hits hardest. Justice does not always feel fair, and that is exactly why so many defendants lash out. But fairness and legality are not always the same. Would you accept losing your car over a bureaucratic mistake, or would you fight back like Linton, convinced you were wronged?
Hold on a second. Okay, so your car got impounded.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me just ask you this. At the time that you were pulled over, you were by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So there might have been something else here, but I'll just tell you what I can see based upon paper. The offense took place and specifically I'm addressing your statement that your vehicle shouldn't have been impounded, right? So the offense or the stop, the date that you came into contact with the police took place on, I have May 14th of 2024 on Carpenter Road.
Yes, correct.
Right near Center Valley. So you're down by Target.
Yeah, I was down by Target in McDonald's.
Gotcha. Okay, in that. Got it. And then just looking for at about 10 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah, it was about 10.
Right. Well, I'm just looking at the ticket. I'm just
Oh, yeah.
saying what I can see. Okay, so that's on May 14th. When I'm looking at your driver's license, right?
Mhm.
The information, your license, you have an enhanced license that's valid.
Yes.
Problem is, well, I don't know if it's a problem or not. I have an issue date on that of June 18th of 2024.
Of like when they gave me the new license. Is that what you asking?
No, what I'm saying is this. I have that your license was issued June 18th of 2024. Now my question is this. Right, your birthday's in March, right?
Yeah, March 10th.
Right. So let me just work it through here. Your original license that you received was on March 3rd of 2010,
Yes.
right? So that license in 2010, if you get a 4-year license, so 14, 18, 22, and then it should have been 26, which means, well, it looks to me that the license prior to this one that you got in June, there wasn't one.
So I went to the Secretary of State and they told me that someone up there made an error in 2016.
Here we uncover the heart of the confusion. A 2016 error at the Secretary of State. According to Linton, someone in the office messed up his records, forcing him to retake his driving test twice. He claims he had licenses, IDs, and mistakes stacked against him, all of which snowballed into the officer's suspicion. This moment shows how easily everyday bureaucracy can collide with criminal law. A clerical error in 2016 becomes the foundation for a legal disaster in 2024. To Linton, this proves the stop was unfair, but the judge sees it differently. Errors or not, the record at the time of the stop showed problems, and officers are trained to act on records, not on defendants' explanations. It is frustrating, yes, but here is the legal takeaway. Even if the system makes a mistake, the burden often falls on the driver to correct it before they get pulled over. And if they do not, the consequences are swift and unforgiving. So what do you think? Should drivers be punished for government mistakes, or should courts lean toward leniency when records are flawed?
In 2016?
Yeah. And then I ended up taking the driver's test twice. I don't know why someone up there made an error.
What do you, sorry. No.
That's what,
In 2016, somebody made an error?
yes, that's what they told me at the Secretary of State. That's why it showed up on his computer that there was 2 licenses, and he said that one was suspended. And
Whoa.
no sense.
Where'd the second license go?
That's what he told me.
That there were 2?
Yes, he after he searched my car, and when I told him, he came back to the squad car. He said, "How do I get in the trunk of your car?" I told him, "You don't have probable cause for that, and or a warrant. I don't know why you need that." He went back and kept searching. Then he got in the car, and I just wasn't responding to him because he wasn't listening to me. And then he said, "Well, you have 2 driver's licenses and 1 suspended, so I'm towing your car."
This is the officer's golden ticket. He claims the defendant had 2 licenses, 1 suspended. Linton fires back that this was impossible, just another result of the Secretary of State mix-up. But for the officer on the scene, this raised one glaring red flag: identity confusion. And in law enforcement, identity confusion equals probable cause. From the officer's perspective, this looked like someone juggling 2 identities, perhaps hiding one behind the other. And when that happens, towing the car is not just reasonable, it is expected. The judge even acknowledges this later. Whether or not the officer's actions felt unfair, the suspicion was legally justified. This is the core theme of the case. Frustration does not erase suspicion. So what do you think? Was the officer being cautious or overreaching by escalating a traffic stop into an impound and search?
Okay, so here's what, hang on a second. I don't know anything about the search, and I get that you may be upset about that, but I'm not here to deal with that, right? He said you had two.
Yes.
It indicates he had a state ID, expired state ID, and maybe that's where the confusion.
But it's like what?
Hold on. The report indicates he had a state ID.
Correct. Expired at the time of the stop. And as we learned previously, you cannot have a driver's license and a state ID.
Right.
Here comes the technical knockout, the rule that breaks Linton's defense. You cannot legally have both a state ID and a driver's license at the same time. Period. Why? Because the moment you accept a state ID, it cancels your license. That single fact explains everything the officer saw. 2 records, suspicion, and ultimately an impound. This is where courtroom frustration turns into a legal lecture. Linton insists he never intended to game the system, but the system does not care about intentions. It cares about what the record shows. The lesson here: what feels like a small bureaucratic choice, like getting a state ID while you wait on license renewal, can create years of legal headaches. So let's put it to you, should laws be more forgiving about this overlap, or is the strict line necessary to prevent abuse?
So, okay, young man. When did you get the state ID? You know?
So I lost my wallet and that one was old. That's why I went to the Secretary of State to figure that out. Because I was confused. The moment he told my
why you went to the Secretary of State when? Right after this, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right after, because I was confused. I didn't know. And then on top of that, when he stopped me, it wasn't like he was even asking me for any of that. He told me, get out the car or I'm going to arrest you.
Okay, look, young man, if you want to be mad at the officer, you can be mad at the officer and you can do whatever. It doesn't get me anywhere today trying to deal with your motion to withdraw your plea.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can tell me all of that. That's not going to factor into anything I have to deal with. Understood?
Yeah.
So when did you get a state ID? Do you know?
Somebody made an error. I don't know. They just this is
okay. Let me ask you this then. You got your license, because I can see it from here, in 2010. You would have had to go back on your birthday in 2014 to renew your license, because it would have been a 4-year license, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you had done that, that license should have been good to 2018. Okay, let me stop there for a minute. You're telling me that when you went to the Secretary of State, you're saying somebody said they made a mistake in 2016.
Yes. And this is the second time I've ever even been pulled over. I've never.
Well, again, I don't, that doesn't help me.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
that's what they told me. They had to call HR, all types of stuff to try to figure it all out. And then I even had to take, I took a driver's test twice, and because they needed me to, because someone made an error up there. I got paperwork at home for 2 different.
Yeah, but that doesn't, Mr. Siller, all you can see is that the only thing he had on him was a Michigan ID.
Well, it's officer indicated that when he ran the plate, he said there was an expired state ID.
When he ran
his name.
When he ran his name.
Right. And he came back with an expired state ID and not a license, not a valid license. It's good news. He does now have a license.
No, right. And what I'm getting at is, do you know when you got that state ID?
I ended up getting robbed, and
no, I don't. I'm not.
I don't remember, because I don't have it on me.
What about The one I'm talking the one in May, the expired one that the officer saw.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have that one?
No.
Okay. So whether there was a mistake or not, I can't say. All I know is this, that as Mr. Schiller was alluding to, you can't have a state ID and a license at the same time. So whenever you may have done it, when you went to get, so you would have had about, if they said 2016, and I'm guessing here, but this may make sense. You in 2016, at some point, you may have lost your license or something happened.
The judge digs deeper, laying out what he believes really happened. In 2016, something triggered Linton to get a state ID. Maybe a lost license, maybe confusion at the counter. Whatever it was, that act effectively cancelled his valid license. And from that moment forward, he was on shaky legal ground, likely without realizing it. This explanation is critical because it shifts the story from conspiracy to circumstance. The officer was not out to get him. The Secretary of State was not actively sabotaging him. Instead, a single decision in 2016 planted a landmine that exploded 8 years later during a traffic stop. What is fascinating here is how calmly the judge explains this. It is not an attack, it is an education, but Linton resists, holding on to his frustration. Would you accept this explanation if you were in his shoes, or keep fighting to prove the system wrong?
You go to the Secretary of State because there would have been no reason for them to have contact with you from, if I just go by the beginning of your license, till 2018. But if they're telling you a mistake is made in 2016, fine. You probably need a photo ID, right? The quickest way for you to get a photo ID, or you could have gotten your license replaced, but somehow or another, you get a Michigan ID. The moment you get that Michigan ID, your driver's license is canceled. And so now what you have is you have a Michigan ID, right? Which is why at whatever point prior to that time that occurred, it could have occurred between 18 and 22, or it could have occurred in that period from 14 to 18. And if they're telling you 16, that's, I bet you, when it occurred. And at some point, you're operating off of a Michigan ID. And then when the officer pulls you over, all you have is an expired ID.
This is the moment where reality hits. For years, Linton may have been living without a valid license and not even known it. By carrying only a Michigan ID, he unknowingly forfeited the ability to legally drive. That explains why the officer saw what he saw: 2 IDs, confusion in the system, and no valid license in hand. From the officer's point of view, that looks suspicious and dangerous. But think about how many people might be in this same boat. How many drivers assume they are valid, only to discover years later that paperwork errors or forgotten renewals left them legally vulnerable. The big question here is responsibility. Should the government do more to notify drivers when errors cancel their licenses, or is it entirely the driver's duty to know their own status? This case forces us to face an uncomfortable truth. Ignorance of the law, even when it is the government's mistake, rarely protects you from the consequences.
Likely when they went in, it really isn't 2 licenses that he saw, because I don't see another number attached to.
Yeah, so when he said that, I was like, that doesn't make no sense.
Well, it does, but it's not a license he's looking at. He's looking at what he sees are 2 forms of ID. He's seeing your Michigan ID, when he's running it. He's seeing your Michigan ID and he's seeing a license. You can't have both.
Okay.
And so if that's what the officer saw, I can understand his suspicion then, because you shouldn't be able, you can't have two of them.
Here the judge drops the hammer. The officer's suspicion was valid. It did not matter whether Linton thought the stop was unfair. It did not matter if the Secretary of State admitted mistakes. From a legal standpoint, the officer was correct to be suspicious of a driver with conflicting IDs. This is the courtroom turning point. Up until now, Linton thought he was building a case against the officer, but the judge reframes everything. The officer did not create the problem. He responded to it. For viewers, this moment is powerful. It shows how quickly a defendant's narrative can collapse under the weight of legal reasoning. So let me ask you, would you walk out of court at this point accepting the judge's explanation, or would you double down and keep fighting like Linton did?
Whether somebody made a mistake or not, it's the Secretary of State, I don't know. I'm just saying you can't have both. So then after this stop occurs, you go to the Secretary of State. They're going to make you, you're over 18, so they're going to make you basically start again, because at some point, that's why you took the driving test course, because at some point, your license lapsed for an excessive period of time. Okay. And that's going to be the period at which, whenever it was, that you had the Michigan ID. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. That's why you become the focal point. Now, it makes sense with what, it may not make sense to you when you're there, and you may think the officer's not telling you something, but I can understand it now, because you have two forms of ID. And the only one he finds on you, or that you have, is the expired Michigan ID. But you had said you lost your wallet, or somebody took your wallet, so you don't even have your new Michigan ID on you.
They just gave me a new one now though, but
what?
They just gave me a new one now.
When? In June?
I got it in my
pocket. No, but that's different. Okay. I'm having to deal with this way too much in my life. That's different than what the officer had you with. The expired one, what he had you with was an expired Michigan ID. That's different than having a driver's license. That may be that, I don't know why you're there in 16, but if something happened to your driver's license in 2016, you go to the Secretary of State, what you want is your license back. And when they're telling you somebody made a mistake, I can't say it's happened. Whatever happens, you get a Michigan ID. That cancels your driver's license.
Okay, I understand that.
You following me?
I'm following.
And then as you're just kind of moving along, living your life, doing whatever, at some point, and just looking at it from the Secretary of State side, your license, you just lapsed. It's like you went in and said, I don't want my license, give me a state ID, is how they're going to see it, regardless of what happened when you were down there at the Secretary of State. And then that period in time lasted so long that then after this happens, you go back in, you got to basically start again. Make sense? I mean, that make you happy?
Oh, no, that does. No, I understand now.
And maybe so that you can sort of understand from the officer's perspective, okay, because you're bringing this up, and maybe to chill you out a little bit. The officer, when they run you, I now get two things. You don't have anything on you except an expired one, right? But I now get two things that come back on you. The only thing you can show, I don't want to say it. I'm trying to make it really clear because I think this is what happened when he told you had two. If I'm the officer, I'm not sure that you ever got a driver's license. Okay. And I'm guessing a little bit, but it makes sense. Because I see two things come up, right? And the numbers are going to be similar, but I see two things come up. And the only thing I've got on you physically is an expired ID, which then leads me to the conclusion that you didn't have a driver's license. But for whatever reason, a driver's license is coming back, but that driver's license is gone. Yeah. Follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, at that point, and I'm going to tell you, even if it were me on the road and I stop you and all of that comes back to me, I'm suspicious of you at that point because those things shouldn't be happening. Right? And it would have almost been, and this sounds crazy, but sometimes life's, it would have almost been better if you hadn't had the expired Michigan ID. Right? Because at that point, I could almost say there's got to be a mistake somewhere. But the moment you had the Michigan ID, I think you just have a Michigan ID that you didn't have a driver's license, but somehow or another driver's license showed. Okay? That's why he probably has the suspicion of what the heck's going on.
So,
I mean, I'm not saying it's your fault, but what I'm saying is I don't think it's the officer's fault necessarily either, the raising of the suspicion. Whatever happened, as they're telling you in 2016,
mm-hmm.
This was just waiting to occur at some point.
Okay.
It was just going to happen. And you
So
probably walked out of there thinking that you had a driver's license when really all you had was a state ID wherever that got messed up.
So whether he did that, but he did all that after.
Did all what after?
Like, why didn't he run my plate?
No, he knows before he's going to say anything to you. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, he didn't run my plate still until after.
Not the plate, the license.
Even that, he didn't look at none of that until like 20 minutes after.
So he does that before he goes over
What you mean?
Oh yeah, he knows.
He has all the information before he stops.
You know how I know he didn't?
Look, young man, you can sit here and argue with me.
I'm
going to tell you what. Do a ride along. You will see. They know it before they necessarily.
I'm asking you how. Because he ran how he gonna run my plates when I have a cover over my plate? My Audi is custom.
Even after the judge's careful explanations, Linton refuses to let go. He argues that the officer could not possibly have run his plates because they were covered. He insists the stop was unfair, that the officer was simply bad. But at this point, the courtroom tone shifts. The judge's patience wears thin. He reminds Linton that officers run plates before approaching vehicles, and that technology makes plate covers irrelevant. The back and forth grows tense. The judge bluntly tells him, if you want to sue the officer, take it elsewhere. But in this hearing, the law is clear. You did not have a valid license, and your car was properly impounded. This last stand highlights the stubbornness many defendants carry into court. They believe if they argue long enough, the judge will bend. But here, persistence only makes the ending more painful. Would you keep fighting at this point or accept the inevitable?
It doesn't.
When I put it out,
sir, what do you want to do? Because you just want to be mad at the officer.
I'm not mad.
Listen to me. You want to be mad at the officer. I would be mad at the officer too if there wasn't a valid reason, which is the only reason I went through all of this stuff. And what I'm trying to tell you is you need to just chill about it. It doesn't matter. You can sit here all day and night long and try to blame the officer for it. Because the first question I asked you is I said, were you alone? And the reason I asked you if you were alone is because the moment you don't have a license, he can't leave that vehicle. That's why your vehicle's impounded. Because that's the first thing you came to me and
I
said.
do
So if you
understand.
want to argue,
Understand.
you can go argue elsewhere. I'm here to just deal with your motion.
I'm not mad or frustrated. I'm saying he couldn't have ran my plates.
Yes, he could.
How are you gonna run a plate when the plate got a cover on it? He can see through the new plates that you can cover up. Like, that's what I'm trying to ask. That's what I'm not understanding. When I pulled off on Carpenter, he was coming from Textile.
And you're saying your plate isn't exposed on your vehicle?
My plate, it's the new plates that you can order. So it can be exposed when I allow it to be. I just picked the car up. The car has been in the shop for months. I haven't driven my car all year. When I pulled off on Textile, he just can't, he was following me.
Okay. He's just a bad officer. You know what? Go ahead, sue him. Have your day in court.
That's what I'll do.
You go ahead and do it, but don't do it here because I don't have any more time to listen to you. I'm trying to explain it to you, but you want to be hard-headed and not do it. You want to say, how does he know? I'm telling you, before they walk up to that vehicle, they know who you are. Just as simple as that. You may not like it. Everybody else may not like it. That's too bad. What's the basis for your motion?
I appreciate that. I'll just sue him. It's
what?
I'm gonna just sue him. It's fine.
You're not getting anywhere. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're being hard-headed because I can tell you, why do you think I just went through all of it? The reason I went through all of that is I can tell you exactly what happened. You didn't have a driver's license because I can tell from your record, you didn't get a driver's license issued to you until June of this year.
Okay.
And just like that, the motion is denied. Donante Linton walks away without his plea withdrawn, without his car, and without the victory he hoped for. The judge made it clear, no matter how unfair the stop felt, the paperwork showed no valid license. And that was the end of the story. This case is a fascinating reminder of how the courtroom works. Judges do not rule based on frustration, emotion, or sympathy. They rule based on records, timelines, and law. And sometimes, that law feels merciless. But what do you think? Should the court have shown more compassion for a defendant caught up in government errors? Or was this outcome exactly what justice required? If you found this case as dramatic as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to subscribe for more shocking courtroom breakdowns. And remember, in the courtroom, paperwork mistakes can cost more than money. They can cost your freedom.